against their opposition. Will Elevate be able to take them out one more time? How likely does SoaR ban Hell here?
If SoaR don't ban Hell here, it's most likely going to be because they're probably going to pick something that can at least deal with Hell better.
Shaket, Odin, Sobek, Bacchus.
And they're not even going to want to bother.
Yeah.
That Hell, Checo, you had your fun, you had your time, but it's over now. Like, we're done with this.
There are a lot of ways to counteract what Hell does as Thoth gets on through the picks and bans, whether it be by character, team method of team fight, or by itemization. But when it comes down to it, can you figure out that game plan in between game 1 and game 2? I don't think so. I think SoaR are going to go back, look at the tape, figure it out, and then next week, not have to worry about Hellband and say, do it, we are prepared.
At a certain point in a game like that, though, you can almost recognize that the loss is inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
And so for SoaR, what I really wanted to see from them is how they're going to try and bounce back in this next game. Because if I'm SoaR and I'm already down 10K and just getting absolutely decimated by this Hell, I want to just talk about how we're going to draft into the next game, how we're going to compensate with any more of these unconventional picks that Elevate might try to bring out. And it looks like they're still sticking with the Odin, which I don't think Odin was really the problem that last game.
No.
He just wasn't really able to be viable, considering that the Hell's on the opposite side of the map, very, very far away from the Odin and safe. So even when he got the Pesty online, he wasn't able to rotate to try and make any use of it, which unfortunately led to the snowballing of the Hell. But Odin and Wheelish, that's a pretty nice combination. Anybody who tries to get out of that cage is typically going to find themselves right back into it.
Exactly, just can't escape it. Xing Chen on the side of Elevate also going to be good at being able to catch the stragglers if he finds the flank and ults them outside of it. But Uller there for SoaR Gaming, he'll be selected next to Guan Yu, one of the console's favorite characters. And Elevate looking to round out their draft. They got a support, they got a jungle, they got a mid, they got a solo. Their hunter is going to be Artemis. So we got Artemis and Uller versus each other. The Queen of Crit versus the Ability Man. How you feeling?
Well, I mean, after watching Checo play Hell, I kind of just have a feeling this guy really likes picking stuff that most people aren't accustomed to. So it's hard to say how this matchup is going to go. I'd probably have to favor Uller early on, especially if he tries to opt into the Transcendence build because of the power spike that he can find out of it. But at the same time, Artemis can be really annoying to deal with. But you have a Wheelish and Odin that can have the chase down potential. And the Guan Yu as well, if that ends up being a Guan Yu support, that's also another huge chase down factor. And it looks like Guan Yu will be going the way of the soul lane, but Odin's right there to try and trap that Artemis and lock her down. And I don't think Checo's going to have, well, ideally he won't have as much fun this game. Otherwise, SoaR might find themselves down 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, that's the game plan. And again, you know what? Last time I was so nervous and I chastised this team. I said, why would you pick this Hell into the Odin? Like, what's wrong with you? And then they wound up crushing it. So normally that's my conversation for Artemis into Odin, but I'm going to hold that this time around.
At the same time, the thing about Odin with Hell also is at a certain point in time, the ring just doesn't make a difference. Like, eventually she's just so far ahead and so online, like what Checo was, that it just, you can't really battle into that at all. And the same thing could be said for Artemis, where if she finds herself really far ahead at any point in the game, it'll be super difficult for SoaR to try and deal with it. But it looks like Zaxy's coming out with a vengeance and just right away taking plenty of hits onto Kenshin, already at half health. But as Sylvanas, he'll probably have his heal soon to try and sustain it back up.
Yeah, I mean, Zaxy is a great one of the perennial hunters here on the console side of things, and absolutely a strong player. Knows what he wants, and let's be real. Zaxy kind of got embarrassed against that Hell last game, and Zaxy is a very strong hunter. He plays a lot better than he did last game, and he's obviously here to kind of prove that out. Here's a fun game. If you have to pick something that Artemis and Hell have in common, what are you going to pick?
Their lack of, or the movement speed? Probably the movement speed, actually. For
me, it's the lane poke. The fact that Artemis is going to look to clear the wave and poke you at the same time with that volley, that's what Hell was doing last time around. Zaxy's just not going to be comfortable at all today.
Checo doesn't have as much mana to expend this time around, though, like he did with the Hell. So the poke isn't, it's going to be annoying at the same time, especially once Kenshin places down the
this
tree.
is bad news for Elevate. The big wraparound. SoaR going to cut off the opposition. Checo is going to be relatively safe, but can't say the same about Kenshin. Zaxi gets the last hit, probably very important, as Kaden makes the early rotation as Stormy and his partner come out of the enemy jungle. Just great pathing from SoaR right there.
Letting your early game hunter take the first blood is always a huge pickup. And now Veronic could be in a little bit of trouble, but just going to get away from the shredding of the Guan Yu.
Veronic playing the same character that he did last time around. Should prove to be good stuff. Zaxi and Michael Checo here, the one-on-one, but Stormy looking to shut that one down. He'll come out from the jungle and just sort of help clear. But on this Artemis, we've seen a couple of players play her, even when she's not part of the meta. Emilito on the side of the Pro League in Europe loves Artemis, as does Funball, another European Pro League player. So she's seen her play here even when she's outside of the meta. Is it really just the fact that those crits hurt late game?
Those crits, it's not even so much the late game as she starts coming online really after she gets, depending on how you opt to build her.
Right.
I would imagine Checo to be the kind of player looking for more of an aggressive type of fighting style, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him opt for the Ickful after picking up boots. But if he chooses to pressure heavily into Zaxi, that would probably be his best route, considering that since Uller doesn't have a natural attack speed steroid built into his kit, unlike Artemis, when you factor in her passive as well with the increased crit percentage, it could become a little bit problematic for him to deal with, even after he already had the early lead.
Very astute. Got to think about that one. How do you feel about going for the, how do you feel about seeing him go for the Transcendence? A lot of players like to see, even though normally you would think lifesteal, like an Apollo, because she does have the steroid. Transcendence just, again, makes those crits hurt. Just the idea of making the bigger numbers bigger, a la Xbalanque. Is that the route to go, you think, after these boots?
We've seen a couple of Transcendence Artemises before. It's not very common, but it is still possible, especially when you consider that with the Sylvanas on her side, the lane clear is going to be there. Plus, that would provide her with, you know, a lot more poke potential onto the Uller with her 3. And at the same time, though, if anything, I would say Devos purely because of the fact that he's going to want to have as much of sustain for himself as he possibly can, considering he'll be looked at a lot probably in this duo lane.
Well, our solo laner over there, Delny, just discovered one of the larger changes to Xing Chen in his history. Although it happened a long time ago, the windup for that ult is about 7 years long. So Guan Yu just sort of looked at him. Oh, I think he's ulting. That's right, he's ulting. Went, made a sandwich, came back, and then ulted himself. So it's an even trade out there in the solo lane. Medieval loses his charge for Delny's spin to win.
In this instance, the washing machine will not make him dead so quickly.
Very true. Very true. Shouts to my man, Mr. Hughesy, over there down in the oceanic world. They've got their league as well. If you're up in the middle of the night by any chance, at least by American terms, right here on Hi-Res TV, you can actually catch out the OPL and some of the Australian and the Kiwis. You can see some of those players from down under really do their thing. So a lot of exciting stuff. We have obviously North American console scene. We just saw your European relegations out for the console world. SPL is in full force, although next week will be the bye week. And there's the OPL. And of course, you can catch out the Challenger circuit underneath right before SPL begins to air on the weekends as well. So a lot of SMITE Pro action for you to catch during the weekends.
Tons of action indeed, but not a whole ton of action going on in this game right now, as the teams they're playing it a lot safer. Other than the duo lane, Zaxi's hunting for blood right now,
so
especially after the spam laps and the spam shots by
mad.
Checo. You just know he's got a vendetta against him right now.
Listen, I spent a lot of time with him at Worlds. Like I said, he was on the desk. Were you at Worlds?
Was I at Worlds? I might have been there.
I always forget about you. But Zaxi, I could never forget. This guy, he's very passionate. He's very proud. And he's the type of guy that when you make a mistake, I'm kind of the same way. When you make a mistake and you beat yourself up and you like get really mad at yourself, Zaxi gets really mad at himself. After last game, he is seething right now.
I have to be real for a moment, though. Even though he lost that lane so horribly, realistically speaking, I don't think that many hunters would have played that much better, but Medieval could find himself in a bit of trouble, and the archer damage just not enough to take it out.
Oh, can Delny catch up? That's the question. I don't think so after the dash. That's going to be safe. Medieval, oh boy, there is... Sometimes you play with fire, and you just see yourself, he walked out of there so against all odds. You're proxy farming, not full HP against a character that can toss you into the tower. Not a good look. Elevate right now, however, they heard that Medieval got poked out. They're going to go ahead and push the Gold Fury. They don't even need help. No ultimates needed to drop there, and that's going to be Gold Fury going the way of Elevate. That'll tie the game up completely, and Kaden going to get aggressive and look for revenge. Gets the kill right away, but there's answered back by Checo. Zaxi takes one out as well, not to be outdone this time by the offending oppositional Hunter. And it's a 2-to-1 trade in that exchange. Baronic and Kenshin go down for Stormy. And Elevate, well, they get the objective, but they lose the ensuing fight after the fact. Still, even game, but Elevate ahead by 200, and I feel for their efforts, I should mention it.
That was a pretty solid Gold Fury call. It was a very safe Gold Fury secure, but when Baronic got caught out trying to escape back to that T1 tower mid, they should have just backed off entirely, but they lingered, and that linger was all that they needed. Stormy, even though he ended up dying in that engagement, was able to get his ultimate off, and that's really all that you need out of an Odin at that point in time. You just want him to drop the ult, and whether or not he's still around by the end of it, doesn't really matter, because chances are the enemies will fall as well.
That's the thing when it comes to Odin. There are a couple, not a lot. There are a few do-nothing characters in Smite, and Odin wears the crown. I mean, he comes in, he jumps on you, and if it's in the first 5 minutes, it actually matters. If it's not, well, then it doesn't matter. He drops the ring, and that is a game changer. And like you said, if he's still around when the ring falls down, maybe you'll get a baby slow, like from his Gun Gear's Might. But Odin really just, outside of the ring, low impact. So Stormy dying in a 2-for-1 exchange right there that's SoaR. That's like getting upset that when you threw the grenade, it blew up and you can't use it again, right? Like, you did the job, and that's that. So Stormy falls down. A lot of people have this mentality, never leave a man behind. But when you respawn in Smite, you're usually better off leaving your teammate behind.
Oh, in Smite, if I left people behind, I would have probably saved myself so many deaths.
Right?
And I think that can be said for just about everybody.
I mean, it's just, listen, in life or like if you're playing a non-respawn game, look, there's value. I applaud your valiant effort. Homie's gonna be back in 7 seconds at this point in the game. Just leave him. Let him die. He's a support. It doesn't, he's a jungler, Baronic. Either way, Elevate only have 1 kill to their name. Again, Medieval going for the proxy farm, but again, he's aware this time that the ult's coming out, so a little bit safer.
Just gonna pony on out of there and be A-okay, but the same can't be said for Stormy Rays as he's underneath that tower with a little bit of Trevor, and Shallenberg with the massive Thoth ultimate swinging right down the mid lane to secure the kill onto Baronic.
Great pull coming out from our Sylvanas player here. Kenshin just absolutely making it happen. Long-time member of the console scene, long reach on that support. Stormy gonna put a shield on and walk, as Odins do. And here comes Delny, and Odin's gonna jump. That'd be that. A little bit of a heal coming out, but Checo stuck, smoked, stunned, and gone. Number 5 for SoaR, and that's gonna be a great look. Zaxi, welcome back.
Zaxi is feeling himself right now, especially after how much unfun he experienced in that last game. He's having the time of his life right now.
I thought Zaxi was going to jump under tower and look for the kill on the Dr. L. At this moment, like I said, I'm going to spend a lot of time with Zaxi. He's a really cool guy. He's a really fun-loving guy, but at the same time, very competitive. But he likes, once he gets ahead, and he knows when he's doing good, let's put it that way. Zaxi right there, last game playing in total silence, just angry, frowning at the computer, probably threw something real quick. As soon as he got the first kill, turned on the Kanye and just had a blast. Right now, 3-0-1, still keeping up with the Joneses. I mean, SoaR right now, you're just looking across the way and you're saying, all right, we're going to split. Elevate right now, their win condition is got to come by way of, I think, Checo in the very, very late game.
Checo probably will have the very, very late game if it makes it to that point of the game. Kaden going to be pulled into a bit of an awkward situation, but he's just fine. Not really a whole lot of follow-up damage to really come through, especially when there's a Thoth hanging right around the corner and the Odin's there as well. You know what's interesting? Ratatasker is one of the best junglers right now, top pick, top ban, but more of a tandem character. You can't really 100 to 0 somebody just by the rat itself. You need help. You definitely need some help in trying to secure your ability-based damage, and a lot of the mindset behind Boronic on this Ratataskor is trying to factor into the setup for Doctor. And Doctor really wants to be able to get these Krakens off, and with the knockup from the Ratataskor ultimate, he'll have the burst potential available for him. And if anything, you're going to have Checo at some point in time swinging through with the Artemis and dealing probably a ton of damage when those crits start to really factor in.
Yeah, that's what you look for. I mean, you know, the Boronic combination with the Poseidon, this is as classic as Odin Zeus, right? Thor, Thanatos, I guess, a little bit newer, but the idea of just like global ultimate stun from the sky into the Kraken, that's one of the classics. Here's the ring coming down from Stormy Rays one more time. Checo activates the Sanctuary, knocked up right quick, and he'll be healed up thanks to the meditation. Rotation coming in from Delny, setting up the Kraken. Dr. L one more time with a big ol' hit. Here comes the washing machine, tossing him out right towards the opposition. Stuck in the water. Spin cycle is successful. Delny puts number 3 on the board for Elevate. And finally, they answer back to SoaR's fantastic early game. Now, just trailing by about 500 gold. Looking to take the lead right here. Gold Fury started, Taco, down to about 50%.
Really not much of a way for SoaR to try and contest this, only having the Guan Yu and the Odin available, and it looks like Medieval could have potentially... He's just going to Guan Yu right on out, so he'll be fine in the long run. And it seems like that might have just bought them enough time for these respawn timers to come up. I really didn't think that he was going to be successful there, but with his ultimate being available, he just deterred them entirely.
I don't think he thought he was going to be... I mean, you Guan Yu through the... You know, you dash through him, and then you're kind of like, all right, I guess I'll Talon Assault because you're still on the objective. And he turns around and nobody's still on the objective. And he just goes, hey, guys, I did it. I did it. There was no reason for Elevate to drop that. There was just no reason, Taco.
Better safe than sorry at some points in time. Elevate feel confident in their late game draft enough to the point where they can see themselves unleashing a Gold Fury and still being fine if the game just keeps delaying to the late time. And with that being said, I think it is. I mean, Ullr's strong. He's got a decent... He's slightly ahead of Checo right now in that dual lane. But across the board, you see... Even though Zaxy's got the slight level advantage, it's the same way in the mid lane. Doc actually has a little bit of a level lead onto Shalibur on the Thoth ultimate. Jungle's even. Solo lane's a little bit more in favor. The Xing 10 support's even. All around, it's really just at the stage where team fights are important, but not necessarily the end-all of the game at this point in time.
That's very true. Got to keep out for that one. Neat little play over there from the jungler, blinking over the wall, doesn't find the kill. However, Checo has both of his relics on cooldown, and now his life's on cooldown. Shalibur just shoots him in the face. SoaR right now being aggressive in the enemy jungle, hanging out by the red buff, able to shoot on through, and this time, we'll see if SoaR will go ahead and unleash the Gold Fury. 50% on the objective, Taco, and here comes Delny.
Checo certainly probably not laughing anymore after experiencing that Thoth ult to the face, and Xing 10 trying to mix things up and keep them off this objective, but it looks like Elevator going down the run.
Big catch! Big catch! 3 people stuck in the net. Ratataskor is going to make 4, but will his impact be a big deal? Lands on the back line, but there is no back line. SoaR, clean up! Take out 3 players. Boronic can't do nothing. And L8 are going to watch as SoaR take out the Gold Fury. Here comes the Rat, he's gonna throw his nuts, and that's pretty much all he's gonna do. Boronic, now they're turning on him, and he's gone. Kaden puts double digits on the board for SoaR Gaming, and this time there is literally nothing anybody can do about it. Gold Fury goes the way of blue, and SoaR jump up 2,000 gold to extend their lead to 4.
Checo certainly won't even be able to make it to the Gold Fury in time, nor would I imagine him really wanting to even bother trying to contest that. His ultimate was still on cooldown. And it's an Artemis. You don't want to be an Artemis walking into 5 people who are practically full health. And that's just a situation you never want to place yourself into.
If you could throw Tusky, maybe, right? Like he comes in those situations where you put out the ultimate and he just sort of sits there next to you. If you could sort of like kick him so you don't have to go close to them but still get the ult out, maybe that's what you do. But I don't think that's in the game just yet.
Air hockey Tusky. Just slide him along out there and see what happens.
I would love it. Oh, is that Does that work with Scotty? With Scotty's little,
Please no.
the Hindu man alt CC?
Let's not and say we did.
I would. Can you imagine the Tusky bouncing around? Just wee, 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 wee. That's the noise Tusky makes, by the way.
Have you ever seen anybody get trapped inside of an Odin ring just like Kenshin was? And the Thoth ultimate, it should be enough to clean him up, and it is. Kenshin just gonna fall down.
Shalibert literally just standing still, had to give himself a pat on the back right quick. Here comes Dr. L's ultimate, but he's the one holding it this time. Kaden finds 4. And that's going to mean go for Checo. He's going to push out this tower, 1-for-1 trade as far as the tier 1s are concerned in the mid and the left lane. But SoaR get to keep on keeping on. Artemis is probably going to have a little bit more of a difficult time, especially with the Wheelish coming down on the left side.
They could potentially look to push down the mid Phoenix right here. I mean, Checo's just now starting to back, and he probably won't. He isn't even able to get the back off in time. That Phoenix is open. That's free game.
And right side, okay, Michael Checo, you're a hunter. That's not as big of a deal to me. One, Artemis isn't going to stop that push. But the fact that Xing Chen and Ratatasker are pushing down a tier 1 tower while the mid Phoenix is getting taken, Taco, very rarely in this extremely complex world of online multiplayer battle arena can you actually call something a flat-out mistake. That, black and white, mistake.
And now that they've backed off of that solo lane push, leaving SoaR to take the Portal Demon at their own free will, and now I wouldn't be surprised if SoaR just decide to come back through this Portal Demon and look for the Fire Giant engage. We're at that point in the game now. It's still a little bit early, but SoaR have a comfortable enough lead at this point in time to where engaging onto that Fire Giant could be devastating for Elevate to fight into.
And I want to really point this out, that this lead, that's good enough, like you said, the 6,000-7,000 gold lead, is only because they got to parade down the middle lane.
Purely. 100%.
That's 2,000 gold from the towers alone, let alone the minions, and then the Phoenix kill, and then the kill after the fact. Double stun coming out from the Guan Yu. Good play over there on the side of SoaR. And they're going to keep pushing on to this tier 2 tower. Baronic trying to make the defensive ultimate. Still hasn't landed just yet. Ratatasker thinking things over. Maybe talking to Dragon. Not going to find it. And that's going to be that for the moment. Right there, egregious play. Elevate were 100% in this game. I'm kind of mad. They were 100% in this game, and they just SoaR walked down the lane. If you're going for the tier,
they actually just walked down the lane.
Yeah, if you're going for a tier 2 there, Taco, I think we can have the conversation, but just not going to be all right. SoaR here still trying to push down the tier 2. Got to give credit where credit's due, though. Elevate putting on a fantastic defensive set here. SoaR just can't walk through. Finally, Medieval drops the ultimate. That's going to chase Dr. L out of there, and that should open the door for the rest of SoaR to walk on through. Yep, there it is. Minions come on through, and down goes the tier 2 tower. Shalibert even picks up Dr. L from a distance. Fantastic, fantastic use of that Thoth range right there. And like I said, Elevate were able to sort of deal with that for a while, but not really finish it out.
And on the side of Elevate, in that last engagement, they burned out all of their ultimates so quickly, expecting SoaR to chase and pursue underneath that T2 tower, but SoaR weren't having any of it. They backed off. They're like, okay, you guys want to use Ratatasker ult and Artemis ult with Sylvanas and a Xing 10? We're fine with that. The only ult they had to their somewhat defensive positioning was the Kraken, and when that came out as well, Aegis was still available on the side of SoaR, and that's pretty much all that happened, and the rest is history. T2 is going to fall away of SoaR, and then they secure the Fire Giant, and now they're just going to look to group up and most likely push down this dual lane side that still has a couple of towers remaining.
Yeah, Elevate. Baronic went into the sky, and SoaR just put it in reverse, literally walked backwards up the lane, and then just hit meditate. And then they got to do it again, and Elevate said, we don't have that button. We can't do it again. And SoaR were able to take it. Elevate right now looking up at a 10,000 gold deficit. And this is going to be trouble for Michael Checo. Nice blink in from the Wheelish. She's swinging like a banshee. And Zaxi, my man from downtown, finds the long-range hail of arrows. Just saying, my friend, that is my kill, Kaden, and takes it away. 5-1 and 7 for the Hunters. Zaxi 15 kills in total for SoaR. And now it's time to walk up the left lane.
Not even spam laughing Checo after securing the last hit kill. And honestly, that would be the funnier part. It's always hilarious as a hunter when you've been losing the entire time and then out of nowhere you're just making a comeback. This is, I'm counting the first game as Zaxi having lost the laning phase.
Yeah, definitely.
And now he's coming back. And you're not even the one securing, you're not even the one doing the damage, but you're the one spam laughing. That's probably more infuriating than getting the solo kill yourself.
Because you're just sitting there like, it wasn't even you! Either way, mid lane, a nice little dash away from Baronic, but everybody's looking at the left lane if you want to see the business. Shaliber just giving Kenshin the business. Sit down, old man. Sit down, old Phoenix. Hey, they did it twice at the same time. It's got to be an achievement or something.
And now you can see the Kraken coming through, but it's just not enough at this point in the game, just tickling. And Chin 10 ultimate expended. This is looking pretty done.
Yeah, no, I mean, really what it comes down to is SoaR got really heated that they lost to the Hell, and Zaxi got really heated, and Shaliber got really heated, and Elevate let them take the mid lane. And the rest, like, I mean, you said it before, Taco. The rest is history. SoaR right now, 17-3. Down goes the Titan, and there goes the battle. SoaR wind up splitting out.